One alpha, take one, Mark.
The joys of having a slate. I'm willing to bet that you have Netflix, and I'm also willing to bet that you spend about 5 hours scrolling through there trying to pick a movie. So today I'm going to tell you 20 of my favorite movies that are on Netflix right now for you to watch. Okay, so let me know if this sounds familiar. You just spent an entire year of school, away at college, away from your family, and because you are in Canada, you couldn't watch Netflix, because Netflix decided, hey, you're in a different city, you don't get to watch your parents' Netflix. So, you're back from school now, you're back living with your parents for the summer, and hey, you have access to Netflix again. So, what are you gonna watch? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm in that boat too. So because of this frustration, I have comprised a list of 20 of my favorite films that I have seen multiple times that are on Netflix right now, so that, you know, hopefully it can make your selection process just a little bit easier. That's the music that I'm going to use. So Jordan Peele is one of, if not my favorite director right now. And his first movie, Get Out, which I still think is his best movie, is like an easy pick if you want something adventurous, funny, thrilling, scary at times. So if you've never heard of Get Out before, I'm going to read you the synopsis on IMDb. A young African-American visits his white girlfriend's parents for the weekend, where his simmering uneasiness about their reception of him eventually reaches a boiling point. So basically, Chris Washington, the protagonist, he goes to visit his girlfriend's parents' place for the weekend. He's scared that, you know, he's black, they're white. He doesn't know how they're going to react to that. He doesn't know, like, if they're going to accept him, basically. And then chaos ensues from then on of just, like, the most, like, bone-chilling but also insanely interesting things. It's easily one of my favorite movies that I've seen in the past while. It's a top 5 for me, hands down, 100%. I can't recommend it enough. Django Unchained, I think, is either my favorite or second favorite movie from Quentin Tarantino, who I'm convinced you have heard of. You have to have heard of Quentin Tarantino. Django is so many different genres at the same time. It's a Western, but it's also a crime movie, but it's also funny, but it's also just, like, sick. Like, it's just awesome. Jamie Foxx is by far one of my favorite actors right now. Basically, the movie is just about a black slave who then becomes a cowboy, who then just goes around massacring people on this quest for revenge. Great movie. Incredible action. Some questionable language in it, but that's for your discretion. You know, Christopher Nolan, I think, he's up in the, what is it, contention? That's probably not the right word. He is up there as one of my favorite directors of all time. And I think Inception demonstrates just, like, the brilliance of what he tries to do in a lot of his movies. It doesn't always work, but I think that Inception is, like, a really good example of a movie that just plays with your mind so much. What's real, what's not real, what's happening. You leave the movie with more questions than you entered the movie with. I mean, I think it's easily my second favorite of all of the Nolan movies, second only to that bad boy back there. But yeah, no, Inception is a time, like, heist with adventure, and it also has a little bit of comedy sprinkled in there. It's not very apparent. I don't, like, I'm trying to think of how I would describe the movie, but the best thing that I can think of is just Leonardo DiCaprio, the lead, has created this system of being able to dive inside of people's minds and create and fabricate dreams for them so that he can extract information from their brains. And it goes like dreams within dreams, and you don't know what's real. If you want your brain to be messed up for a little bit, but also thoroughly enthused and entertained, Inception's for you. Shawshank Redemption. It's a movie that I just recently watched this past year. I talked about it a lot in my last video of all of my favorite movies that I watched in 2022 ranked. I mean, it's a sleeper. I feel like... Actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because I don't think anyone slept on it except for me. Brilliant story about prison guards and, you know, people being convicted of crimes that they maybe did do, they maybe didn't do, just the life inside of a prison, how people can rise up through the ranks, how other people struggle to live outside of prison after they've been in there for so long. Roger Deakins did an incredible job. It looks so naturalistic. It's heartwarming at times and also just like thrilling and like heart-wrenching. Shawshank Redemption is definitely one that if you haven't seen, you should see it. I won't talk about it much because I did talk about it a lot in my last video, but check it out. Good Will Hunting is a movie that I know a lot of people know about it, but I don't know if a lot of people have actually seen it. And it's one, if like, probably one of the highest ones that I would recommend on this list. Like a lot of these other ones, you know, if you're not big into action, maybe you're not big into like sci-fi, maybe like you're not huge into animation, I feel like Good Will Hunting just appeals to the broader audience in the fact that it's just a heartwarming story. Like it's just a really touching story. Robin Williams and Matt Damon are both incredible in it. Ben Affleck's in there. I don't know, he's Ben Affleck. It's definitely one that could make you feel a variety of emotions. But overall, I feel like it's just a really good example of masculinity. And also just of like, you know, math bad, mopping floor good. Seven is a movie that I actually haven't watched in quite a while. And you know me, I clearly prepare very heavily for all these videos, so I definitely am not just rolling off the cuff right now. Seven is about two investigators, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. I always forget his name. I don't know why I always forget his name. And they're investigating a crime by someone who has, you know, committed 7 crimes based on the 7 deadly sins. Very gritty movie, very, very crime heavy, very noir-esque, quite violent. If that's not something that you're really into, this probably isn't a suggestion for you. I think one of my favorite crime movies that I've ever seen. It's, you know, incredibly well acted. It makes my body just go... Ugh. No Country for Old Men is a movie that I just watched like recently. And by recently, I mean like within the past week. I feel like it's a really popular movie by the Coen brothers. I feel like it's one of maybe their most popular that I've personally like hadn't seen up until this point because I thought that it was a Western movie. And I'll tell you right now, No Country for Old Men is not a Western movie. It is actually much more of a film noir than a Western. So if you don't like Westerns, but you still like crime, watch this movie. Please, please. It's an incredibly creative in the way that they choose to represent isolation and they choose to like show their violence. They don't have any music throughout the whole film, but you never really notice because they use the soundscape really well to complement that. Roger Deakins, again, does an incredible job. He's one of the greats. He is the greatest. Goated. Roger Deakins goated. You know, at the end of the movie, I was left with a multitude of questions, some of which I still have absolutely no idea the answers to. But I think that makes it fun. Like that's the fun of watching movies sometimes is, you know, you get to talk with people about it. Everybody has their own interpretation of how it ends. So one that I would really recommend if you're big into crime, and if you're big into mysteries. The Lego Movie. A complete stark contrast from everything else that we've talked about. The Lego Movie, I think, is one of the best animated films that has come out in recent years. I guess it's not really that recent, is it? Yeah, okay, 2014, so that's almost 10 years ago. So, you know, maybe it's not the most recent thing in the world. Everybody grew up with Lego, at least to a certain extent. If you were me, then Lego was, you know, your entire life from ages 5 to... How old am I? I mean, the Lego Movie is, like, it's marketed more towards, like, children and family audiences, but, you know, I still think it's an incredible story. It's, like, one of the most well-done animations I've ever seen before. I feel like it hits home for a lot of people. Like it just kind of hits that little nostalgia part. You know, there's something for everybody in the Lego movie. So if you're just wanting something that's, you know, nice, lighthearted, I'm sure you've seen this movie, but if you haven't, I beg you, please watch it. Sticking with the animations, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Arguably the best animated film of all time, one of the prettiest of all time. I don't know if that's my opinion, but it has been said before, so don't come at me. Into the Spider-Verse is like an incredible take on the Spider-Man story. You know, it's a really, really good representation of multiverses. Or I guess no. I was just about to say it doesn't have multiverses. It's literally in the name. It's a really great character study on like the character of Miles Morales, who hasn't been in any popular media except for the comics. You know, he's such a cool character. Prowler, a great villain. I mean, the music is so sick. The animation is completely beautiful. I don't know, Nicolas Cage is in it. I feel like I don't have to sing the praises of Parasite. It completely swept the year that it came out. Was it 2019? The 2019 Oscars? It swept. Like, it was a Parasite sweep. Parasite is so different than what I thought it was going to be. It's like such a really cool and unique story of this Korean family who like goes through this crazy adventure to try and just gain access to this house because they're living in poverty. It's beautifully shot. The acting is incredible. The story is really cool. It has some really awesome twists in it that I had no idea. But I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Take, you know, literally everyone else in the entire world's. And if you don't like the subtitles, suck it up. Hey guys. So I've been editing this video for probably close to a month now at this point. And we're only halfway done. So instead of subjecting you guys to another half an hour long video, we're gonna split this into 2 parts. So thank you guys for watching. Part 2 will be out soon. If you want me to get it out faster, get this video to 4 million likes, and then I'll edit part 2 faster. Anyways, thanks. Subscribe. Bye.